houses, they have approximately two, more so even 4 to 6 aisles dedicated just for electrical. You have the switches, the covers, the plates, the wire, the raceways, which I showed you. This is lamp wire, so it tells you it's 18, which is the wire size. 2 it means 2 wires and 18. This is 18 too. See how skinny this is right here? Super skinny. Some handymen will hook this up on electrical switches. This is the wrong thing to do. You don't want them to do that. The wire that's supposed to be in the walls is this wire. Okay, they have different coatings. This is size 14, which is only for switches. It's smaller than 12. 12 is a little bit bigger. They have different coatings. The coatings are THHN, which stands for like thermal something. Okay, they have different ratings. Some are made for water, some are made for grease, some are made for oil. You can notice this one down here. Okay, all wires are rated. This one down here is probably number 10. Okay, and it's your white wire. These are all called Romex. Romex is nothing more than an electrical code, non-metallic sheeted cable. This is 12 too, so it has 2 hot wires. I'm sorry, it has 1 hot wire, 1 return wire, and it has your ground wire. Okay. Here you can see in the picture, it has the white, the black, and the bare, which is also the ground. This one here, this is almost $200 for this roll right here. You can see this, it's 250 feet. And this has a black, a white, a red, and also a ground. Okay? Now, it tells you this is 10, over here it's 10-2. So this is probably 10 gauge right here. 10 gauge is once again for more amperage. They do have direct burial. It tells you what type and what it's used for. All of them, every electrical item has a rating and it says on the jacket what it's used for. Here you can't see the writing, but it has a little writing as you go down. About every 12 inches it has writing on it. This wire here tells you that it's for outdoor. This gray coating is outdoor. It tells you it's for exterior wet and dry locations. Most common Romex is all in your walls, but they do have some that is made for direct burial. The code says you have to put like 2 foot in the ground. You're supposed to protect it. There's some that is made to be outside in the weather and some that's not. Typically your white and yellow is not made to be outside. Notice that this says on here for indoor use. This says here for indoor use. Indoor use. Most Romex, because it can be damaged, you want it indoor. You can see this one has a thicker coating individual, and this says for outdoor use, this gray one here. Okay, this is cabling for like a service panel, okay? This is 2-aught. Basically, it is much larger than what's going to be in your house wiring. As you can see, it's also expensive, but this would be for a service fee. All right, and it tells you in the jacket, every 12 inches or so, it's rated, and it tells you what type of jacket it is, and it tells you what the size of the wire is. Here it's THHN, and it tells you, if you look up in your code book, it will tell you it's like thermal heat something is what that stands for. Now this is flex. Flex conduit, of course, isn't as protected as rigid. They have your plastic type with no metal inside, called like liquid type. You have your aluminum and you have steel type of flex conduit. Once again, the average sizes are like 1/2 inch, 3/4, 1, 1.5, 2 inch. Breakers can cost as little as a few dollars. This is $4. This is a 20 amp. And you're supposed to put the maker with the right maker. It's supposed to be a packaged deal. It's supposed to be UL listed and approved. Or you have Zinsco breakers, which are a longer one, that are like $20 to $30 per breaker. Whatever is supposed to be in there is what you're supposed to buy. These breakers are $44. These are special GFCI breakers, it looks like, and they're 20 amps, but they're $40. You can have a sub panel right here, which is like in your apartment. This is 125 amps, and it has 18 spaces, which if you use 2-for-1s or you fit 2 small breakers side by side, you could put 16 of them in. This is a side by side. It allows you 2 right by each other, so it could be for 2 lights, 2 15 amp lights. This is what a single 20 looks like. This is for 2 hots, because it's 2 pull, it connects to 2. This one here only connects to 1 hot, but it has 2 different breakers in the same space. So they tell you can use 16 or you can use 8 if you want to put something like this in, a 2-for-1 we call them. This is a load center down here a 200 amp panel, but it has a space for the meter. So if you're going to put in something, you would put this in. Typically they come with some breakers. Let's look at some of their fittings. You can make a connection onto this. This is called a C condulet. This is for 3/4 inch and it's threaded. This is called an LL because it opens to the L side. How you remember this is when you hold them, if it opens in the back, it's called an LB. If it opens on the right, it's called an LR. If it opens on the left, it's called an LL. So you hold them like a gun, and this is a LL because it opens on the left side. It tells you that it's 1/2 inch and it will have a cubic rating for how much space you can actually put splices in here if you would like. This would be for 2 pieces of flex to put together. A lot of guys on their trucks, they mix match parts. You can't do that. Every part is a special part for a special reason, for a special fitting, a special raceway. Electrical is the book of exceptions and the book of specialities, okay? Well, you can see all the different outlets they have. These are 15 amp GFCI. They have a whole bunch of different ones. They have some red and black. They used to be about $6, now they're $20. This is a switch. This is one single yoke, 2 switches. This is one single yoke with 3 switches. This is a lighted switch, so you know to make sure it's on, okay? This may be for like a light in your attic or something. You want to make sure that you can tell when this light's on, you don't leave the light bulb up in your attic. This is an old-fashioned switch. Once again, this is a single yoke, a single switch. This is where your ground goes. Then you have your one hot here and one hot here. There's no need for a neutral here because this is switches. You just need to have the hot wire go to your switches, no neutral. You have your power in and then you have your power to your light, which is called a switch leg. Typically this is 15 amp, 120, 277 volt switch. They have to be UL listed, which if you look closely, there should be a little UL listing emblem on them. So this is a 50 amp tamper single outlet. What tamper means is you can't basically stick your fingers in it. It's really good for children and stuff. They're less likely. When I was a kid, I put a fork in the outlet, and I only did that once. Got the bejeebies shook out of me, and I didn't like it much. Here, this is a 20 amp. Remember we talked earlier about the side slit. It's 20. This GFCI, because they have a reset, the GFCI is a safety protection. What it does is it senses within about 6/1000ths of an amp difference of what's going out and what's coming back, and it will shut off. It's almost like a breaker, if you will. It's a safety device. This is 15 amp. It's a duplex, so it has the top and the bottom. You would have this in any wet locations, in basements, outside, in your bathrooms, and in your kitchen because there's water in your kitchen. Wherever there's water, you have a greater potential because it used to be copper pipes. The water pipes go into the ground, so there's a greater potential for you to get shocked. Okay, now we're going to talk about light bulbs. Just because a light bulb fits in a particular light doesn't mean you should use it. A lot of your enclosed lights will tell you you can't exceed 60 or 100 watts max because they create heat and they can create fire. This is a Kendall Opera base, a really small little base, okay? This here is your medium base or a regular base light. That's the size that screws in, medium base. They're all done in wattages. Okay, it tells you what size wattage is, 60 watts. It tells you if you want it frosted or if you want it clear or what have you. This is more decorative to look like maybe candles. This is the latest craze LEDs. They use less power, they're more efficient. Okay, they typically tell you how many burning hours and it will tell you maybe what the cost saving is per year. This is a 40 watt LED. They use less power than your typical lights. Light emitting diode is what that stands for, LED. They have all sorts of lights from this fancy stuff here for $10, which is called a vintage LED. This crazy one here, which is also called a dimmable for $10. To this one is $6, this one at $20. This one here is a Philips huge white, 9 watts. But it may put off as much, here it says it's 9 watts, but it puts off as much energy as a 60 watt. But this darn light bulb is $70, which that's pretty darn, you know, they're pretty expensive. I would think that's a pack. Oh yes, it's a 2-pack for 70 or one for 35. Here's some different light bulbs. These are 50, these are 15, and they're supposed to save you energy over the life of thousands or hundreds of hours. They will save energy, and so your bill would be less. That's why you'd want a light emitting diode. In a basketball gym, you'll have a metal halide, which are more clear, more bright. And then in security lighting, you'll have a high pressure sodium, which puts off a yellow light and uses a little bit less energy. So whenever you go into a parking lot, you'll often see that it looks kind of yellowish, but that's what they use there. There's all sorts of different light bulbs, all sorts of different sizes, all sorts of different prices. For kitchens, they have like LEDs, or they have even high pressure sodium, not high pressure sodium, I'm sorry, halogen. Halogen gives off really clear light. There's all sorts of different light. There's office light, there's white light, there's more like daylight, there's cool whites. These are for like a security lighting. These are halogen, and they get super hot. They burn. They use a lot of power. They're really small, but be careful because they get really hot. Remember, any kind of movement or heat means it pulls more power. Some of you may go ahead and may put wires and stuff like this. This is made basically for computer cables. It's not for wires. It's not for conduit. They show you these pictures. They put cords in here to neaten the cords up, but you're not supposed to use these with like number 12 wires. Number 12 wires would be something called wire mold. Wire mold looks almost exactly like this. You can see here, this is wire mold. It comes in a white, it has metal behind it. This is wire mold. This is approved for electrical, and this is not. This is plastic with no metal in it. One is for like low voltage cables to neaten them up, and one is approved for electrical. These type of boxes here, they have a tongue inside. I don't know if you can see it, that actually the wire mold slips into. It fits into, it has a little like tongue. And you have to take the side of the box off.